I invite you to imagine with me entering a new cafe. The first thing you notice is the quiet music, consisting of a mesmerizing high voice and a piano. A screen on the wall displays an androgynous ASL interpreter performing the song with open captions running across the bottom of the image. The low volume you hear over the speakers adds a bit of warmth to the atmosphere, yet doesn't take away from the mosaic of voices sprinkling the cafe. You notice 4 or 5 different languages, some voices that are crystal clear and others that are worn and gravelly rich. In the corner of the dining room, 2 young women sit, giggling as they brush their fingers across braille displays and keyboards. A few folks sit, lie, and lounge on a cushion-laden carpet in the opposite corner, silently engrossed in their books. A family with 2 adults in rainbow-colored wheelchairs and 3 non-wheelchair-using kids sit around one of many height-adjustable tables, chowing down on a lunch of soups and sandwiches. Your stomach rumbles. As you turn back and step towards the counter, you hear a clear text-to-speech voice mention, "Welcome." Menus are available approximately 5 feet to your left, where the floor changes from wood to carpet. Turning, you see a 3-foot-high table covered with softly glowing tablets, displaying a long list of boxes ready to be tracked, mentioning such options as high contrast, large print, really large print, underlined, plain language, standard small print, audio, and of course, a long list of languages. Some of the units already have pairs of free noise-canceling earbuds plugged in, the rest of which remain in their packages off to the left, near a stack of braille menus. Mounted on the wall above the table is the dispenser for some colorful masks you saw some patrons wearing. And you grab a hot pink one. After deciding on your format of choice, you peruse the fare. You do find the soups, sandwiches, and salads that you're expecting, but as you scroll, you notice a section with various meats, a vegetarian one, a vegan one. Conveniently, each of these sections contains various items labeled as top 9 free, indicating that they don't contain any of the 9 most common food allergens. I dream of places like these. Places designed universally. My sermon this morning is inspired by the book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. It's the first book in her Wayfarer series. It's futuristic and space-based, and it, along with the series' other 3 titles, are brimming with beautiful examples of inclusion and, appropriately, universal design. We receive much of the story from the perspective of Rosemary, whose planet-born, fresh out of university nature, has us experiencing firsts right along with her. She studied interspecies relations at university, but has yet to meet other species. She's read about other worlds, but hasn't ventured from her capitalist Martian home until now. When she takes a job on the ship Wayfarer, She first takes in her new home from outside the ship. She mused. From the mismatched colors of the outer hull, it looked as though whole sections had been cobbled together, perhaps originating from other vessels, a patchwork ship. She soon discovered that the crew was a patchwork as well, bringing together 8 beings from different planets, cultures, and abilities. Ashby, the captain, is a spacer, or someone who was born in outer space. He's a human. Sissix is it Andrisk, and she's the pilot. She's sort of a humanoid dinosaur. There's Jenks, the computer engineer, a little person, and whose greatest love is the ship's sentient AI, Levy. When they call Rosemary in to eat dinner for the first time, with them and the other 3 crew members, there are seats and spaces around the table in shapes and sizes for every type of body. This method of anticipatory inclusion is featured throughout Chambers' whole series. Access for everyone, even the grumpiest crew member, Corbin, is taken as a given. And even during the meal's conversation, all are made to feel radically welcome at the table. The Wayfarer is regularly on long-haul missions from the contracts it takes. It's a tunneling vessel that builds wormholes, bringing galactically distant places and peoples closer together. And I love that symbolism. As Chambers' novel progresses, far-flung solar systems are brought together, and so are the crew. They take time to learn about their shipmates, sometimes through reading about a culture or religion, and other times by asking and listening. It was a beautiful way for Becky Chambers to say that while we grow in our knowledge of how another person thinks and feels, we grow as well in our understanding of them. And I think this leads to love. One of my favorite parts of the book is when the crew of the ship Wayfarer land at Port Coriol. It's a giant free market where you can get any supplies you need as you travel across the galaxy. After disembarking from the shuttle they take down to the planet, they are greeted by a friendly AI at a booth, present to assist visitors. Captain Ashby inquires about travel locations and purchases transport tickets to the farms. Sissix, Rosemary, and Kizzy, the mechanical engineer, tell it that they simply plan to go on to the main bazaar of shops. As the rest of the crew members check their shopping lists and decide where to go, the AI recites its standard course of information. It explains about the devices available to blind visitors that will provide descriptions, navigational information, and any other info they need. It then continues providing instructions for travelers with a multitude of other sensory situations. In order to reach this information, no one needed to prompt the device, go to a special menu, or use a different AI model at a different booth. This gave me all the feelings when I first read it. Chambers had envisioned a place that was literally made for everyone. There was no one asking for inclusion, no one self-advocating their access needs in order to participate, to enter, to join the others. It was an entrance built to anticipate, to welcome every type of visitor. When I revisited this passage, a couple of weeks ago, it brought to mind a recent visit I had in July to the Kansas City Zoo. As I attempted to enter through the main gates with my guide dog, Royal, and my sighted friend, I was told, suddenly, to check in at another location around the corner, that it was required. After being ushered into a building, a staff member questioned my blindness, my need for Royal, and my plans at the zoo. A printed map was then shown to my friend, who was given instructions on where we could and couldn't go. Both the ableism and the ADA violation stung and made me feel othered and unwelcome. And it was nothing I haven't experienced before since becoming a visibly disabled person. To me, one of the most important things that we are called to do as Unitarian Universalists is to treat everyone with inherent worth and dignity. To treat everyone as though they belong, whether we know them well or not at all. Whether their disabilities and their needs, and even their preferences and sensitivities, are they familiar to us, make sense to us, in our worldview or not. My UUtopia is a world like the one dreamed up by Chambers. I'm not saying I needed to have andarisks, though they are a really cool species. What I envision in this galaxy of inclusion is room, is space for all people. Just think what a richer world it would be if everyone could get around our city, if classes were ready and available to folks, no matter how they take in information. And yes, if cafes had menus in every format, no matter how you read. This would be radical welcome. We create this through anticipatory inclusive practices. When we expect disabled people, when we expect every kind of person to come through our doors, to show up at our events and gatherings, we include their needs in our plans, in our policies, and in the spaces we create. In my dream, this UUtopia is a lot what love looks like in public.